This happened when I was 11 or 12. Little foundation story. I'm from the Philippines. I have 3 sisters, and I'm the most youthful. This is from our very first house. My mom purchased the land and had a 2-story house fabricated. We had space outside for a little nursery where we balance our garments to dry and for us children to play. We likewise have a mango tree and another tree which the town commander had requested that his men cleave off. I failed to remember why. I was exceptionally youthful when this occurred. All I recall was my sisters and I were crying since it was our tree. I think it was on the grounds that the tree was practically going over the street, and it wasn't great on account of the electric lines up there, and there is an electric post in a real sense close to our home. I realize I've forever been terrified of our home and of the dim. I wouldn't have the option to rest all alone in the event that every one of the lights were off. I was additionally frightened of the shower and the latrine. I didn't have the foggiest idea why. I just felt scared, as though I was in good company when I had a shower. Another thing that terrified me was my mum and father's enormous wedding material, painted and holding tight our lounge. I felt like the eyes were on me consistently. We used to go to chapel constantly, each Sunday, no matter what we go to our Baptist church. Before I turned 11, my mom chose to set up a major birthday celebration for me. We leased a McDonald's setting and arranged everything. I had my outfit made. My neighbors were welcomed. My church mates were welcomed. A few classmates were welcomed. My birthday falls on summer excursion, so not much is familiar with it, haha. I was having a fever days before my birthday. My mom was watching out for me. That evening, I had an extremely bizarre dream. I actually recall it right up till now. I was a medical caretaker. I was wearing a medical caretaker's outfit, and I had a clipboard in my hand. I was strolling on this spot, similar to a hall in a clinic, and I saw this person was remaining there. He had exceptionally huge eyes, practically vivified. He grinned, and his grin terrified me. He had enormous pointed teeth. My most memorable idea as a medical caretaker was, he's not a patient here. Who is he? I was frightened and began to run off. He pursued me. I was endlessly running, and I stumbled. He then held both my hands and nailed me down. Then, at that point, my mom awakened me. She said I was crying, whipping and kicking my feet. My temperature was so high, she needed to drive me up to give me a virus shower. I was crying from my startling dream. Mid-shower, she continued asking me for what good reason I was crying. She was advising me to unwind. I didn't see it. However, my hands were shaped like a paw. I could do nothing. It was so firm, I was unable to move. Nothing remained at that point but to cry. After the shower, I quieted down and enlightened my mum concerning the frightening dream. She kissed my brow and asked me. I had the option to rest again after that. After my birthday, my mother informed a friend concerning what has been the deal with me. She then said, "There's this clergyman who helps cast the nebulous visions from your home. Also, my mum most certainly knows the priest." They had a discussion, and the clergyman said, "To be sure, they'll move toward our home." Okay. I'm really getting frightened simply recalling this. We, as a whole, must be available for the expulsion to be finished. It wasn't similar to the motion pictures. It was chilling though. The minister showed up with his better half and 2 others, 1 man and 1 lady. The minister made sense that we, as a whole, must have areas of strength to be assuming we are frightened. Satan will take advantage of that inclination. He said that the woman is a diviner. She can see spirits. However, it's an alternate type of seeing spirits. She needed to shut her eyes, and her spirit passed on her body to meander around the spot and find the spirits. The minister thought that she was destitute and was being called insane outside a congregation. She said that Satan likes to be venerated, so every one of the sculptures that individuals go to, they conceal in there and imagine they are the ones being loved. So they are for the most part stowing away in chapels or anything that individuals would venerate. She said, assuming that her soul leaves her body, she can see herself sitting around there. The man's capacity is his body can be surpassed by another spirit, and whoever takes over can shout out. The minister tracked him down inside a congregation. He had zero control over his body being taken over at that point, and clearly in some cases for 3 days, different spirits would remain in his body. He remained in the congregation on the grounds that for the most part, the spirits would prefer to be revered in a sculpture than control his body. He said, when he would be assumed control over, his soul would simply be close to his body, so he could see himself alongside him. He said his voice could never change tone in the event that he's dominated, but simply his regular voice. The minister guaranteed us that they are currently Christian and tracked down their motivation throughout everyday life. They assist the minister with pushing insidious spirits away. Furthermore, he likewise guaranteed us that they are presently in full control of their soul and their own bodies. The minister asked us first what befell us, to comprehend what they're searching for and managing. My mom said about my terrifying dream. My sister said she generally hears somebody say, "Psst," to her, however there isn't anyone around. The minister began by providing us with all pieces of paper. It contained the entire course of what we were going to do. The minister inquired as to whether I would be okay to be there. He maintained that I should be there as though I'm away. I'd be an objective for the malicious spirits. Yet, he didn't maintain that I should be frightened. I said I was fine. We lounged around our parlor. I was sitting close to our entryway. It began with some series of petitions the minister led, and generally we said, "So be it." And we sang church melodies that had words that express blood of Christ. The melodies and petitions to God presumably went on for close to 60 minutes before it started. The minister said, "We will search for the man with the enormous eyes first." The woman shut her eyes and crumpled her brow. She held out her right palm and said, "There is a man, an exceptionally huge man, outside on the mango tree. A capre." A capre is one of the animals in old Filipino fables. He is a Goliath that lives in a tree. He ordinarily has an enormous tobacco and smokes it, as per the story when she said it. I recall my close friend saying she saw exceptionally huge legs hanging on our mango tree one night when she awakened and looked outside the window. The minister requested that he come in and conversed with us utilizing the man's body. The man shut his eyes and folded his arms. A couple of moments later, the woman affirmed that the capre spirit is inside the man's body. The minister inquired, "For what reason did you show up in the young lady's fantasy?" "Nothing. I was exhausted." The minister inquired, "So, for what reason are you living in the tree?" And he evidently thought my father looked attractive. "So you like men?" Minister, "Not constantly. We like watching them have a shower in their washroom." This sent me chills. So me being worried wasn't simply suspicion. "So you and your companions are distorted." Capre giggled and said, "We appreciate watching them regularly through the composition. It resembles a different universe." I don't recollect what else they discussed. I simply recall the minister saying, toward the finish of the custom, he had proceeded to project away from our home, at no point ever to return in the future. The woman started looking once more. She said there is a woman with her neck touched. However, she was simply going through. She had nothing but good intentions. She didn't reside in our home. The following couple of days, I figured out that there was a young lady who ended it all by hanging herself 2 houses close to our own. The woman tracked down a man with his hands red. He didn't reside in our home, yet additionally preferred to go through. He was welcome to come and converse with us. He accomplished for a brief time frame. He just said he now and again comes to our home. I don't really remember it now genuinely. However, at that point, I figured out that the young lady that goes through didn't end it all. She was choked by a man. I don't know whether it was her dad, yet it was family. The woman said there are significantly more shrewd spirits concealing on the photos that are outlined or holding tight the wall. It behaves like an entry or some sort. It is their eyes to our reality. The minister said we wouldn't have the option to get to them, so we began the requests once more. I was perched by the entryway and I looked outside. It was the most odd thing of all time. It was extremely blustery, yet the breeze was twirling around our home. It was like we were in a twister. I asked a while later in the event that my sisters, or that's what my folks saw, but no one did. We completed every one of the melodies and supplications. The custom finished, and the minister circumvented our entire house, with us all following after him as he sprinkled blessed water all over. He particularly cleaned a portion of the water on every one of the photos holding tight the walls. There was a great deal. My mom was concentrating on photography. He likewise sprinkled a great deal on our restroom. From that point onward, the minister said, our home is liberated from spirits until further notice. They were projected away, but since there was a great deal, they were just cast away around the area. So they were all the while meandering around. However, they just couldn't traverse our home. I was as yet frightened and distrustful of our home, and truly, there were more alarming things that occurred in that house a long time after this. We moved out when I was 16, and they had demolished our home to fabricate studio condos. Likewise, the minister had quit projecting spirits away on the grounds that the underhanded spirits have gotten back at his little girl. I don't recollect what it was that happened to his girl though.